The Nerd.
Can I see your sword quick?
It's called Uramasa. He carries it with him everywhere. It was mostly a wedding gift from his wife before he was turned into a half Nihilak monster.
Chris.
Gengar, use Shadow Ball!
Alan. Jason.
My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I hate a lot of things, and I don't particularly like anything. I'm going to restore my clan and destroy a certain someone.
The Happy.
I feel like I live in a world made of cardboard, always taking constant care not to break something, to break someone. Never allowing myself to lose control, even for a moment, or someone could die. But you can take it, can't you, big man? What we have here is a rare opportunity for me to cut loose and show you just how powerful I really am.
The Nerd.
Freaking nerds, bro.
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was. To catch them is my real test, to train them is my cause. I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. Each Pokemon to understand the power that's inside. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. It's you and me. I know it's my destiny. Oh, you're my best friend in a world we must defend. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em. Our hearts so true, our courage will pull us through. You teach me and I'll teach you. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all.
And that's how you know it's a sports table spin-off.
I still gotta do the thing.
Oh, of course. It's the signature of our brand. Table Industries.
Table Industries?
Yeah,
That's what you're
why
going
not?
with?
You want Table Corp?
Table Corp would fit better for
Okay,
this show.
Table Corp. Table Corp, producers of the Sports Table and other entertainment properties.
Another spin. Yeah, exactly. Wow, guys. We are embarking on a new adventure, and I can't think of a better song than this to start it off with. Welcome, everyone, to the first ever. What are we calling ourselves? The Nerd Table?
Yeah, we're the Nerd
We're
Table.
the Nerd
Welcome to
Table.
the
Nerd
Nerd
Table,
Table.
absolutely.
This is a spin-off of our flagship show, The Sports Table. I'm Chris. I'm still here. Alan will be a regular. Alan, I haven't seen you or heard your sweet, soothing voice in about a month, man.
Blame the
Chick-fil-A.
muskrat, bro.
Yeah, dude. That damn Chick-fil-A guy. Is my mic on? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So instead of having two of my uncles, we have the bench for the sports table is now the starting lineup for the Nerd Table. I have Jason in front of me and Half Beard.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be sitting in. They're going to be the regulars. And to describe what the Nerd Table is, we're essentially going to cover everything. What do you want to say? Pop culture, underground. It's basically
Everything that Carlos would shake his head at.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's a great.
We're gonna be the voice, and we're gonna be the information for people that they like cartoons, movies, comic books, and we're basically gonna cover them. And we're gonna range from computer stuff, which we'll talk a little bit later, to deep underground Japanese art. That's going to be where you guys come in because I'm just going to watch and laugh, and I can't wait for the octopus. Have you ever seen the picture of the octopus making love to the Japanese woman? Have you ever seen? It's like a very famous.
No, but to be honest, that is
Poster.
perfectly believable from
Right.
that country.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it's actually a very famous poster in Japan. But either way, that's what we're going to be covering here at the Nerd Table. To start it off, basically, what we're going to try to do is, like I said, cover what we like, basically. This is going to be the most animated Alan's ever been in this studio. I mean, yesterday we had a little bit of a pre-show production meeting between Alan, Jason, and myself on FaceTime, and Alan was doing research. Like, he was actually going into it. He was very energetic.
Pages
Jason,
upon pages of notes.
Let's be honest. 2 of those pages were for our flagship segment on Sports Table, Going Me Out of the Week.
True. But this is definitely going to be. You're definitely perked. Your nipples are hard.
Oh no,
they're harder now than
you
they've
have
ever
walked.
been.
You have walked into my circle, sir.
He's never worked this hard more than anything he's done in his life.
Right. Especially not here, not with the sports.
Years and years of research for this moment.
Yeah, essentially. This is what my promise to the listeners and to you guys are. I'm going to refuse to be the George of this, because I'm the George in regards to knowledge. I don't know as much as you guys in this realm. I don't have that much in-depth theory and knowledge, and I don't think about it as much. I want to, but I'm George, but I'm not going to talk about dicks or just anything like that. I promise.
That seems like such a weird place to take.
It's gonna be.
Why would you think about this?
Hentai?
Yeah, we will. I hope we don't go into hentai. Please.
No, we won't.
First question of the show: what is hentai?
Hentai is
the actual translation is it means pervert in Japanese.
well, it means perverse.
Okay.
Like to perverse something.
Mm-hmm.
Something that bends in the wrong ways to be perverted.
I don't know what hentai means. I just heard about it.
No, the word
Sure.
the word means to perverse.
Uh-huh.
So when it comes to entertainment, the perverse version of entertainment is adult entertainment. And the Japanese have a slew of, I'd say, anime of itself. They have some computer games, which are like role-playing simulations. And they usually all end up in very, very adult content type areas.
Have you guys, okay, no one's listening. It's just us four. Has that ever been a click on a web page for you guys?
I can clearly say I have never watched hentai.
Okay.
Never.
Okay.
I've run into it.
There you go.
I have explored
There
too
you
much
go.
of the internet.
I
I
have
run
as
into
well.
it. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
And the funny part is, the last con we went to, in the list of events, there was an entire like red light district type area.
Yeah.
There was a rave party for cosplayers, and if you kept going down the list, there was eventually like a hentai area
Right.
of people who would show up to this convention to go in a dark room somewhere and watch hentai of
Right.
God knows
Yeah,
what.
I heard they had a conference like just about hentai.
Yeah,
like,
there was a hentai room. Yeah.
like a booth that people come up and like talk about like their stash. I'm like, man, that's a weird place to go to.
I'm telling you, man, Japan is weird.
It's very interesting. I'm just gonna completely open myself up. It's really
Just like
interesting.
hentai?
No. I mean, I don't know
Hentai?
what it is.
Hentai?
When I was younger, I used to like Misty. I'm going back to the Pokemon theme, and I was like, oh yeah, let me look up pictures of her, and then it would just be like
Yeah, you find
the
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So you clicked.
Yeah, exactly. And then and then I was like, oh my gosh, that's Brock. That's Nurse Joy. Oh shit. You know what I mean? So I definitely, it's been a click or two throughout the years. I want to get back to the Pokemon theme. That's the very first song for the show. We'll work on an intro. We'll work on all that stuff.
Yeah, we've got pieces working for it.
Yeah. So we start off here with Pokemon. For me, this was the very first deep passion in regards to this genre, the nerd genre. It was Pokemon for me. It started when I remember I turned 10 years old, and my friend named Andre, which was on my baseball team, for my birthday, gave me Pokemon Red. And he basically ran down with me the first Pallet Town and through up until when we faced Brock. He was there playing it with me side by side, telling me, okay, Tail Whip. He's like, don't do Tail Whip. I'm like, but Tail Whip sounds so awesome. It's like extra points. He's like, no, it only brings down their defense. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like that was my first introduction to all of this. If Pokemon isn't for you, what was your first introduction to basically all this genre and this whole realm that we're starting at?
I would have to say Dragon Ball Z.
DBZ?
DBZ. I mean, I would watch every Saturday morning. I was up. I was excited. I need to see the next episode, even though the whole episode was next time on Dragon Ball Z, but that was such. I mean, I had such passion for that show, and I watch it with my brother. Like we would both watch at the same time, and that was a good bonding moment between brothers watching.
Right.
And then we would be, I'm Piccolo, I'm Goku. And
yeah.
Yeah, man.
We were all there.
Yeah, man.
Your brother is so Piccolo.
Yeah, he's a strong silent type.
And the thing about that show was it was such a different thing compared to what was around it. That's held up as one of the best battle animes because it was focused so much like story. That didn't really waste too much. It was hey, this is the next strongest evil in the universe.
Right.
Let's go
fight.
defeat it. Yeah, exactly.
And it would and it kind of pushed animation and fighting on TV because in the movies the animation had been that good, but in TV it kept pushing to get better and better and better. And that was one that was. I'm trying to remember when I started watching. It was probably around 6th grade for me, so it was a lot younger for you.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, didn't DBZ and Pokemon come out around the same time?
I think Pokemon was
came
a
out
little
bit
earlier.
Yeah.
But the thing is that Pokemon still had a little bit of stigma because you had to have a Game Boy. Like one of the stories that we talk about in our group is because I was the basketball guy. I was also the kind of the mediator between the nerds or the perceived nerds, as Jason waves his hands, and the cool guys that I hung out with because of sports. So I'd get a kid to come up to me, hey, could you go over there and find out what level Charizard learns Flamethrower? I'd be like, all right, man, give me a second. And I'd walk
32.
over. And I'd walk over to where, Eebs and Jason and that crew was. Hey, so when do I get Flamethrower for Charizard? 54. Thank you. And I'd walk back over. Manny, level 51. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Like the secretive players would, go between to me. So and
you were the liaison.
I was I was the fancy liaison for nerds and non-nerds alike.
So what was the first one for you?
Well, I think consciously it was Pokemon because that's the one I knew that it started to envelop the world and the cards. Like I had cards from the first generation.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to play, but I had them because
who does?
they're fucking.
I want a holographic.
Actually, all three of us here know how to play. Two of
I
us
used to be freaking awesome at it.
No, back then.
Back then?
No, back then, yeah.
No,
Him, just Jason.
I used to be freaking awesome at it.
You used to flip the coin and do the whole thing. I hated that.
I was 4th in the state.
We have royalty. I didn't even know that.
I did not know.
We have
that.
royalty.
Yeah.
4th in the state. Oh my gosh, that means you're like the what was the girl from the Elite Four? The first one, Arola. What was the girl from the Elite Four? She had like the dugong.
I don't remember
when you're
names.
playing. Oh my gosh, how am I? I'm gonna look it up. It's not Drake. It's not Drake. It's not.
No, that was from the second set of games. I think it was a dragon guy.
Yeah. No. Red. He was the
From
fourth.
red. From red and blue. I think it was a chick though. I think it's.
Yeah, the first she had
Yeah,
glasses.
it was Ice.
Yeah, exactly.
Ice was
man.
the
She had
first one.
Jinx. Her last one was Dugong. Dude, I still remember it. This is how much Pokemon meant to me. I'm such an ass. I wanted to sell cards, but I wanted to like trick my friends, so I thought I was a genius. I had a bunch, we all had the crappy like Magikarp. I had the regular Magikarp and I put glue on it, and then I put a layer of aluminum foil. Then I cut out another Magikarp, like the actual icon and the hole, and I glued it onto the tinfoil and I put it together. I'm like, look, holographic Magikarp.
Wow.
And I would
That is
bring it.
shady.
I would bring it to. Dude, it would fall apart. Like the thing would fall off. It looked really shitty. But this is me in 5th grade trying to make like 75 cents to buy a brownie. I'm like, yo, you want this Magikarp? It's holographic.
And get
it's
the
like-
black market in 5th grade.
The real question is, how often did that work?
No, it never worked.
Oh.
Kids just
The
look at you
real
like,
freaking foil. What are you saying?
You could see like the difference between both cards together. There was a gap. A card's not supposed to be a 1/4 inch thick. Like that's how thick it was.
God, your arts
It
and
was so
crafts skills
stupid.
suck, bro.
It hasn't gotten any better, really.
All right, so you want to hear about the trainer?
Yeah.
Do you want her American name or her Japanese name?
No, who cares about
Or
the
her
Japanese?
Lorelei is her name.
Lorelei,
She
see,
is an
that was
ice type
close.
trainer,
Yeah.
rocking a Dugong, a Cloyster,
Wait, no,
Slowbro.
can I guess? Oh man, I was gonna guess.
All right.
Whatever. Oh, you already said most of them.
I said 3 out of 5.
Jinx,
Mm-hmm.
and you said Cloyster, you said Slowbro, you said Dugong.
Yep.
I'm still missing Lapras.
Yeah.
That was the last
Look
one.
at you. Look at you.
I'm telling you, man. Pokemon,
What a nerd.
Pokemon for
Freaking
me.
nerd.
Hey, listen, we're all brothers here. There's no shame. There's no
No,
judgment.
there can't be any shame because I'm the king here.
Yeah.
I'm the
exactly.
king and the gateway nerd because I bring people into things.
Basically. But for this, I'm like all in on Pokemon.
Yeah,
That's
it's
how
definitely
much it
Pokemon.
was for me.
Yeah, even now, I don't know what the term is and how I got my Game Boy and Pokemon from you, the one I have now.
Swindling.
I swindled him for a current DS. Oh no, like the oldest DS and the last G5 one, which was Heart Gold.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 230 hours put on that one, bro. Over 3 years, where it's a lot of I'm at work playing or I'm taking a shit and I'm playing.
Yeah, for sure.
I've got days put into that thing.
Jason, for you, because we have.
Oh, well, despite my success in Pokemon,
You want me to pat you on the back, bro?
no, and despite my my early mornings that consisted of the last 5 minutes of Sailor Moon, an entire episode of
yeah.
Dragon Ball Z, and then
yeah.
I
Pokemon
forgot about
Oh,
before
Sailor
I
Moon.
go into
Yeah.
school, what really got me hooked onto being a nerd, Robotech.
I'm gonna be honest. I remember watching Robotech a lot before it was on Cartoon Network because I think my uncle had a video store, and I could only watch like the first 3 episodes. That's all he had. So I just kept watching it over and over again.
Fun fact,
God.
Robotech is how Alan and I became friends.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I walked in. It was 6th grade, and I walk over, and he's got one of the planes that turns into a mech, and I'm like, "That's from Robotech." He's like, "Yeah, it is." We high fived, and then we've been friends ever since.
See, I'm looking up Robotech right now. I never saw it. I never saw Robotech.
You might have been young. It was
I have the first series if you want to borrow it.
it's
Yeah,
long.
I'm with you. I never saw.
Yeah,
Robotech.
it played when we were in 6th, 7th grade, which that means you guys were in elementary
Yeah,
school.
I was-
You
I was
wouldn't
in
have.
second grade.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was. I forgot about Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon was another. I remember watching it in the summer at my grandmother's house,
Yeah.
and I was oddly engulfed. I'm watching. I'm like, there's just a bunch of girls, but I want to know what happened to Prince Adam. What happens? Damn it!
Yeah. Speaking of what is it, the hentai, a little Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, that's just me. We're gonna have a lot of things to cover basically throughout the whole show. For this first segment, I really wanted to get and explain ourselves. Yeah, I mean, you already know a little bit about me, that Pokemon was it. I'll tell you a funny story. When I want to say, my brother was a senior in high school, so it had to be 4 years ago. No, 3 years ago, something like that. 5 to 3 years ago, I had the urge to play Red again, because I had it. I had beaten the game, and it's been a while since I played it, and I had the urge to play. So I played it, and I'm playing it. My brothers would make fun of me. Oh, my God, what are you still playing that for? I'm like, dude, I want to win. I want to catch them all. I want to, do the whole thing. I beat Red, right? My brother, because the way that it was split up, I had Red, Josh had Blue, my middle brother, and then Matt. When Matt got old enough, he got Yellow. So each of us had our own color, basically.
Right.
So I played Red, and then Josh, being, a senior in high school, he's like, okay, that looked kind of fun. He started playing it, and he took it to school. And then, essentially, senior year, 2010, did they graduate?
I think it was something like that. Yeah.
2010, the seniors that were playing were because of me. Because it spread like wildfire throughout Florida Christian. All the basketball team played it. Then all the other sports teams started playing it. And then kids were playing each other. And they started doing Pokemon. And now this is 1997. Like, this is when we were little.
Yeah.
And flash forward 13 years later. And they're still playing the red, the gold, and the yellow, the original 150.
Dude, I'm telling you, I still play one now.
Yeah.
And it's roughly the same game in idea, but they just keep adding more to the types and to the attacks and the way. Like,
you dual fight now.
yeah,
I
I'm
don't
doing
know about that.
I've been a place right now where I can go in and they let you rent 3 Pokemon, not yours, just any random. You fight. You can do a double or a single battle, and then you fight. And if you win, you can take one of your opponent's Pokemon for one of yours.
That's
You're trying to-
almost like the Yu-Gi-Oh. Remember Yu-Gi-Oh, the first season or second?
Yeah.
It was the second one where you could take the best card
The
after
best
you won.
card, yeah. That's when
Yeah.
they were fighting in the streets. That's when they were.
No,
right?
I know,
Yeah, yeah.
I know. And then I have the image of these guys with these large ass disc.
Yeah, just like
I'm dueling you.
like the
What you-
giant blades, like Soul Calibur style, just like completely that took up your whole arm. Yeah, and they would. And then I remember for some reason the windows would crash in the streets, but they're all holographic,
Yep,
like they
yep.
weren't real. So yes, I know what you're saying.
But yeah, that game, and they keep reinventing it. They keep adding generations and generations. Like we grew up with the first 150. If you were into more, I'd say the first 250.
No,
But the-
150.
Well, no, you 150 because you refuse to acknowledge anything
no,
past
There's no
that.
need to. They just come. They have right now. They have a Pokemon that's ice cream. That's when
yeah,
you
they
figure.
do.
That's when
Yeah.
you figure out, man.
Yeah.
We're running out of
I'm
ideas.
gonna be honest. Hey, I'm gonna be honest. Generation 6 was weak. Everything at G6 was very weak. That was the ice cream generation. But the thing is that they keep adding legendaries. Like if I show you legendaries, you're like, coño, that's a fucking drag. Like Garchomp is not from the 151, and you
Yeah.
love Garchomp.
Garchomp's
Garchomp being a a dragon ground type that looks like a fucking shark.
It's a shark dragon.
Imagine a shark dragon.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
That's the image of what it is. And he likes the dragon, even though it's not in the one. The problem is that the more Pokemon they keep adding, the
Oh,
more
shit.
crap there is in it.
Yeah,
So like Cubone, Mieda, Rattata, Mieda, but it was 150, 151, and there's a good percentage that's good. As you keep adding, there's more percentage that's good, there's more percentage that's Mieda.
right.
So you kind of got to wait through it on that one.
Let's just talk about that for a second. I am like Keith. I'm a purist. I like the
Yeah.
Kanto version. That's it. There's only a few that I like. I don't even like Togepi. I hated Togepi with Misty throughout the whole
No, he's useless until he gets to his third stage.
third stage. See, that's the thing that I didn't like. I didn't like that they added stages extra to the ones that I already knew. I didn't
Right.
want an Onyx to evolve into a Steelix.
Steelix.
Leave that shit alone. Onyx is one level. Like he's born a giant rock snake and he dies a giant rock
Yeah,
snake.
but the thing is like, what happens like back then? How come he didn't evolve back then?
Yeah.
It makes no
yeah.
sense.
Well, for the game mechanic, it wasn't until they added items that you could attach to Pokemon, and then the same way you would get an Alakazam where you have to trade them. Now, if you trade an Onix with Steel Coat, I think it is.
Yep.
He turns into a Steelix.
That's stupid.
BS.
Well,
It's
that's
called
their
bull
that's
crap.
their way of trying to get people to
Stupid.
be together and play and to be honest, the trick is finding a bunch of like fourth graders to have a DS and will trade with you, so that way you can get your Machamp and your Alakazam.
You
And-
as their teacher.
Yeah,
like hey.
they realized I was like, can I bring my DS?
Yeah, you know
Yeah,
what's-
why not? Yeah.
You know what sucks about Pokemon? I still have a Machoke and a Kadabra. Because I need to trade
Son
those
of a
two.
bitch.
And I
the
still
wor-
can't
and the
trade
worst part for you is, in your case, you need a cable and someone on the other end.
them. Yeah, I'm just there with my stupid Game Boy Color still today. I'm like, come on.
what
man.
color? What color was it?
Yellow.
Mine was green. See, I have the lime green one.
The green one.
Yeah, see. And the thing is, I have that from the 3-5 years ago, I got all 150, and I refuse to play it again.
Now,
It's basically my mantle.
did you
Yeah, you
use
can.
the magical game genie?
No Game Genie. It was straight.
You had to
legit.
trade and all that.
I traded.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
Because I had access to the blue and the yellow.
That's
so
a
I
good point. Yeah.
So I basically
Trade with yourself.
I traded with myself yellow whenever I got the Bulbasaur, because in yellow it was so dumb. They gave you all three elements that you had to pick one or the other in blue and red. You got to just acquire them.
Yeah,
Like, there was a
because-
guy standing there's like, you want a Charmander?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I want a
but
Charmander.
what
Like,
happens is every generation of games, like we're all talking about generation 1.
Yeah,
Red, blue.
the best one.
Okay.
The only one.
Well,
Other than Garchomp.
you downing on Lucario now too?
I don't know who that is.
See, I like Lugia. Lugia is pretty good too.
Lugia's G2.
Yeah.
In they always come out with a third game that kind of mixes the stories of the first two. And for that one, because the anime had gotten popular, they went with, all right, the actual character we based Ash on does start with a
It's gonna be,
Pikachu.
yeah.
Let's do that for this one. And they've done that. Every generation has a third game to it.
Okay.
Or in some cases they have remakes. Like they've remade Red and Blue.
They did?
Yeah.
As Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Yeah.
Leaf Green.
Because the original games weren't Red and Blue, it was Red and Green.
Yeah.
So when they remade it again for, was it the Game Boy Advance?
Yeah,
generation?
GBA.
The GBA.
They just went with the original Japanese colors. But it's the same game as Red and Blue.
Yeah, but
it's just updated
it's
to
got the
generation
new,
4, I think it is.
New graphics and all that stuff. It was actually really nice.
When
Yeah.
I would watch Pokemon now, or even a few years ago, and it got really really cartoony. Like that's
Yeah,
where they
it's-
lost me.
Well, the thing is, we're older, and this
Yeah.
kid has been 10 for 15 years.
yeah.
And somehow he can't get better as a trainer. Okay.
Or as a person.
Well, besides the fact that this guy is roaming the countryside with women,
Right.
and every couple seasons he's like, "So bye, redhead who probably liked me. Hello, busted lady. You're with me. Wait, you're the daughter of the gym leader? Okay."
Yeah.
2 seasons. Bye.
Right.
In my travels on anime, I found when the new series came up again, now this black and white one, and I started watching it. I'm like, fuck, I don't got anything else to watch right now. Let's throw it on there. This is 15 years later. He can't beat a guy who just got his starter Pokemon.
He's lame. The
He
character
is.
of
He's
Ash-
so lame. And I think I showed you the graphic
You did.
of him versus Red, the character he's based on.
Right.
Pikachu's the only guy that can stand Ash for more than 2 seasons. In Red's case, he's going to whoop your ass with Pikachu because he can.
Right. Well, I mean, the point that I was gonna make was it got really cartoony and like you said, it got weird. There was there's a pig Pokemon, like it got really weird. And then when I saw clips of movies, because when the first Pokemon 1 came out, that they gave you the Mewtwo holographic when you bought the tickets. Do you remember that?
I do, and I was so mad when I got there late and didn't have any.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I bought the tickets I remember those. Okay, Mewtwo for me is the strongest. They have now these Pokemon that they can warp time and space.
Yeah, well,
And
what
it's
happens?
so abstract.
What happens is every new area they go to, they kind of take influences from something else. So in that one, they had like deity Pokemon. So there was one that controlled time. There's one that controlled space.
Yes,
the-
it's too
but
too
no,
powerful.
well,
How
okay.
could you capture that on a Pokeball?
You don't. You're never supposed to actually catch legendaries. The original stories that when they had Red and Blue, Red was in possession of Mewtwo, but he was so strong, he was starting to override Red's personality. So they had to separate them. Mewtwo is not supposed, like in the games, yeah, catch him because you're supposed to catch everything, and it's great to have a legendary. But by stats, some of those Pokemon are not necessarily better than Mewtwo. It might be a type difference. It might be a matter of strength and weakness. So he's still considered one of the top end Pokemon to have, period. One of the best special attackers in the game, period.
Right.
And now that they added a new mechanic, one of his mega evolutions, highest special attack ever. And the other one gains fighting type.
When I hear stuff like that, Pokemon for me, I liked it because when we were young, that was me. Like I was 10 years old. I want to roam the world and capture these creatures and make them fight, and I wanted to do that. And then when they started getting into these abstract, like okay, yeah, now they can warp time and space, and Zapdos, Articuno, and Moltres, like those weren't the strong, and Mewtwo, they're not the strongest ones anymore. Like it lost
The thing
part
is,
of my youth.
anything they have a stat breakdown and a total stat. Anything above a certain number is considered a legendary. There are some that are a little higher, a little lower, but they're all around the same range.
Mm-hmm.
So Zapdos is not now some weakling that you could never want. Having a Zapdos is still having a Zapdos.
Right.
Yeah, but that's concerning with the game.
Yeah, I'm
aspect.
talking about theory.
Yeah,
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about theory and talking about the show. Like there is a difference because back in the day, obviously we have a big time difference, but back in the day it was like this is a Thunderbird, this is a Firebird.
Yeah.
Now you have a Pokemon. Hey, I can make mountains.
Exactly. It's so
I can make you disappear.
I'll step you on one more. The top one of the Dimensions ones you were talking about is called Arceus. Arceus, in their little story, he's supposed to be the Pokemon that created everything.
What the hell?
Well, because I'm telling you, that one, their set of 4 legendaries. Legendaries tend to be a set of 3 with something over it. So their 3 legendaries were 3 dragons, time, space, and dimensions. And then the one over it was just a Pokemon that had created everything.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not necessarily better than Mewtwo. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, I know. I get.
They had to go into more abstract
thing
things because they couldn't just do the simple story of there was like 5 great legendary Pokemon. Think about in the next one. You have in Gold and Silver, the 3 sacred beasts, they got raised from the dead by Ho-Oh. And then you have off on the other side, Lugia, who's the one that controls the 3 birds that you're talking about.
Well, he does, yeah. And
Like that's
in
his
the
role.
movie,
He's
in
the head of
movie.
those 3.
Yeah.
While Ho-Oh is the head of the 3 that she resurrected.
Yeah, like the Entei.
That.
But that even seems to as much as I will let in regards to. I'm talking about if it was a reality. That's as far powerful that I would let it go. If you're starting to bend time and space, you're like, what the fuck am I
Well,
gonna do with
every time they had to go to new,
like, you know what I mean? Like,
every time they had to go to a new area,
Cubo,
they
I
had to
choose
make
you.
something else. That's the thing. Every time they go to a new area, they have to make something else, something that would stand as the legends of that area.
Yeah.
Because G1 and 2, Pokemon are roughly the same.
Which I appreciated.
Well, because they were the 2 countries that were together. They were divided by mountains.
Okay.
But everything else has been separate continents away. So there aren't really much bleeding over. So they have to make their own legends. Because there can't be just Zapdos is here, Zapdos is there. Because then what's the point of it being a legend? There's more than one.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep that. They keep making new ones as they go around.
I just feel like they keep upping the ante, and then once you start creating God, like that's like where are you gonna go from there? Where are you gonna go from God Pokemon?
Right.
Fairies.
Yeah, well, they added a
God
fairy.
Pokemon faints.
No.
And then you're gonna bring his giant body and just put him on the desk of Nurse Joy, and she's gonna be like,
That was another thing I hated in the show. Like, it seems so convenient. Put them in a Pokeball, bleeping light, to heal. In the show, it was like a hospital.
Yeah,
Such a
seriously.
pain in the ass. What do you? They have a Pokemon that's based on the blue whale.
Okay.
It's so huge, it's not supposed to be able to fit in a normal Pokeball.
What is that, man?
Imagine taking that to the anime Pokemon Center, and you have to let it out, and it just crushes the entire complex.
No, for that you go to SeaWorld.
Yeah, exactly.
and
That
you
would be
gotta-
the only place on Earth to heal this Pokemon.
Yeah.
You would have to go to the local aquarium in order to heal it. See,
Pokemon.
that's what they did. They lost me when they made it
But,
so outrageous.
but they don't want you because you don't buy
Right,
as
true,
much.
True.
Yeah, because
Like he had
our generation is done.
He brought up Keith brought up a good point the other day that they're making, because now they're doing something called Mega Evolutions, where they're taking a lot of Pokemon you knew and they're giving them like a in-fight boost that turns them into something more, right?
Okay.
So, but the reason they're doing that, and Keith brought it up, was part of it is you can now bring back like the Kanto starters so that people want them, so they can then get the Megas for them. Like there's a Mega Charizard, a Mega Blastoise, a Mega Venusaur, a Mega Mewtwo. You bring them back now with this mechanic, and everybody gets into it.
Yeah, because like this new generation coming up, like you see all the artwork now. They're so extravagant. They have all these different ambiguous shapes and stuff, and all of a sudden, like a kid's gonna look up and he says, "Oh, this is just a lizard. This is a fire lizard. This is a tortoise with 2 guns. Like, why would I ever use that?"
Yeah.
And then, which is brilliant for Nintendo's. Like, they come up and say, "This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put up Mega Evolutions. We're gonna update these Pokemon so these kids, these newcomers that don't have a nostalgia factor, they can actually say, wow, this guy looks really cool." So they update those that art, the actual Pokemon, so people could actually use them. Because right now, I mean, like you said, like I have a God Pokemon that looks awesome. It's got spikes, it can fly and all that stuff. And then I have this fire lizard.
Right.
Why would I have the fire? There's no reason. But then again,
well, that's the easy answer, because Charizard's still considered the best fire starter in all the games, both by type and stat.
I mean, that goes without saying. Like, he's my favorite Pokemon. but I'm saying just as an art, because to tell you the truth, you know, I would say I'm not a huge fan of Pokemon, but the Pokemon aspect that I like is I want to get a Pokemon that looks cool. Like, I'm not into the metrics, the stats.
Right,
there's a whole algorithm just to find out if your Pokemon can attack or not or whatever.
There actually is.
Yeah, but for me, it's like, does this one look cool? Yes, okay. Am I gonna get a Togepi? No, because it looks like an idiot.
Yeah.
It looks stupid.
Yeah,
You know, the funny part is when we were making our decks, because we got into it, we're like, you know what, let's play Pokemon. Jason, teach me how to play. And I had a lot of
from the sensei.
yeah, I had a lot of cards, and at one point I'm like, you know what, I should make a deck for Keith. We'll teach Keith how to play. That exact way of how he likes Pokemon, that's how we built his deck.
I went through cards like stupid. Hey, he looks cool. And then I had like an assortment of all these types, and like, no, you can only have like at most 2 or 3. I'm like, no, but this one looks so cool.
Right.
So he ended up with a deck full of dragons.
Well, that looks cool.
That does look
Yeah.
cool, and his deck is actually very functional.
I have the best deck of all time.
Lies.
Says the master. the thing. Okay, this will be the last thing before we go to break, and we'll come back. We haven't even scratched the surface on anything. The thing for me, again, and Pokemon, which by the way, my favorite one, Gengar. I love
Really?
Gengar.
Bah,
Yeah.
Absol.
What's Absol? Man?
Yeah, it's G3. You wouldn't know it.
Yeah, you see
Exactly.
You see,
Jolteon.
dude,
It was
that
all
shit.
about Jolteon.
Oh, okay.
Jolteon
That's not
is
even.
a
My,
good
that's
one,
not
too.
even my favorite Eevee evolution.
Well,
Which
you
one's
suck at
yours?
life.
Umbreon. I tend to favor
Umbreon.
dark types. That's what it is.
Okay, so if you could stick to the first two generations, Umbreon would still be it. He was-
Umbreon, yeah, because he's in my heart gold. He's a fuck of the Eevees. He is a tank.
Yeah,
Nothing hurts unless
Right.
it's a fighting type move. In which case you're fucked. But
Right. Well, I mean, mine was Gengar. I've always loved Gengar. He fools around, whatever. He was funny, so I liked him. But once they started changing it and they started making the ones that I grew up on and characterized and loved it. My favorite episode of Pokemon ever was in the Orange Islands. It was a 2-part episode when he faced the last guy in the Orange Islands, where he had the Dragonite on his chain.
Oh yeah.
Okay, it was a Dragon Ball Z type of Pokemon where the only thing that it was going on was the actual battle. I don't know if we'll talk. I'll show you.
I got a video for you in the break.
Yeah,
We'll
so
get to it.
that was cool, and that for me was like, that was it. Like that's the pinnacle of Pokemon. You can't get any stronger than the Dragonite, Mewtwo. Like that's it.
At
And they
Dra-
started adding.
You want a
adding
funny
stuff.
thing? Dragonite's not even a legendary.
See,
Yeah, it's depressing.
you
when-
see.
No,
What is
but-
that?
That's why I don't go into Metrics, man. Metrics
No.
ruin
Hey,
everything.
there's like 6 pseudo legendaries that not quite up there, but if you have any of those 6, they're all powerhouses. Dragonite and Garchomp, his Shark Dragon, they're both considered about the same.
Yeah, he's sexy as hell.
And he's got a Mega now that looks like he's gonna eat your soul.
Mega. See, Bill. When they met Bill for the first time in season 1, they saw the Dragonite, the light post at the lighthouse. Remember,
yeah.
and it was gigantic.
It was huge.
It was the mega thing that.
There's a video
crashed
on
it.
YouTube that laughs because the numbers that Nintendo gives in the games for heights and stuff like that
Yeah.
makes no sense with their weight and with stuff in the anime. There is no gigant. They're like, what was it, 6'10"? Was a Dragonite?
Right.
There are no lighthouse Dragonites.
Yeah.
Also, what was it? Charizard's what, like 5'10"?
He was like 5'7".
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
Charizards are supposed to be 5'7". Ash's Charizard is actually a runt for his size.
right.
Like he's supposed to be a little Charizard.
Yeah.
So how are you supposed to fly on a Charizard that's 5'7"? I'm 5'10".
Yeah. Charizard not taking you anywhere.
No, beyond my weight, I'm 5'10".
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
just swallow him on size.
yeah. Right.
But yeah, the Pokemon really bad with size too.
Well, we'll go to break. We'll come back. I don't even know what we're going to talk about next. Wherever the conversation leads us, so don't go anywhere.